Get okay grades? Test scores? Yep, some schools care much about test scores. What else? Grades. Yep. Participate. That's usually a good one. Teachers tend to like when you participate, so they tend to nominate you for more things if you participate in class. Right? They tend to give you the nod on things like honors and awards when you do like good class participation. Yep.
Like extracurriculars, or just like generally encouraged.
Yep. So generally, it's good if you participate in things like debate or sports or both. Right? Extracurricular activities. Why do they want you to do that? So you're well-rounded to make the school look good, right? Yeah. What?
It's more that it's trying to encourage you not necessarily to be one person. Just be like someone who just reads all the time. It's like trying to be a multifaceted person.
Yeah, they want to make you multifaceted, well-rounded. They also want you to socialize, right? So they don't want you, and they want you to socialize in healthy, productive ways, right? So extracurricular is about getting you involved in talking to other human beings who presumably have similar interests, right? So it's a way of getting you socialize without having to literally like go find the other kids in the cafeteria who look like you and who dress like you and who might read the same books or listen to the same music you do and being like, you, sit there, right? Teachers don't want to do that. They don't want to micromanage stuff for the most part. And so extracurriculars are a good way of shuffling people into those categories. Yep.
Like a lot of the times you keep like people in order out of school.
Yeah, so there are people who are, and I've met debaters like this, who debate is the thing that keeps them in school. Right? They like debate. They want to be able to do it. And so they do things like play the game in every other instance, right? Even if they don't want to, so that they stay in school. There are lots and lots of athletes who do the same thing. Makes sense. Okay? So, behavior is something your school tells you how to do. In big ways, sometimes like actually literally writing it down, right? And in sometimes more subtle ways. So for example, it's all about normalizing your behavior. They want you to act like a good student. That doesn't mean there's only one kind of good student. Right? There might be lots of kinds or a couple of kinds. But you know if there's a good student and a bad student. How do you identify bad students? Yeah.
They come in late. I have a few. They come in late. They get suspicious 24/7. They fight.
They fight.
They don't listen. They don't listen. They walk out. And they just oh yeah, they skip class.
Skip class. By the way, none of those things make you bad people. Let's be clear. All of those things might make you bad student for your school's standards of students, right? But none of those things mean you're stupid. None of those things mean that you can't do school. And none of those things mean that those people are going to fail at life. I've certainly been in college for long enough and taught enough college classes to have plenty of people who were epically bad students in high school who did totally fine at life, right? They're fine. It happens. Sometimes high school is not the place for you. That's okay, right? The idea is that they're going to try to normalize you, though. They want you to all come to some sort of center of behavior, right? And I don't mean center like a place. I mean center like come to the center, stop being on the outsides. Schools are happiest when everybody is largely moving forward. They're involved in both school and extracurriculars, right? They're eating lunch when they're supposed to. They're eating lunch with people who are sort of getting along with them. And they're not fighting their teachers or each other. That's like happy school. Right? Things that disrupt that, unhappy school. Right? That's why they punish those things. You all punish each other for it. Your teachers do this all the time. They rely on you to help punish each other so that you keep a class in line. Don't have to be a snitch. You might just tell them, come be here on time. Right? You might call them, say, come be here on time so that we don't have to wait. Right? You might say, get your homework done so that we can move on. You help each other get through things so that your teacher doesn't have to discipline them, right? So you start to regulate each other. You regulate each other's actions, each other's behavior. Sometimes you do it for people's own good, right? You want them to get through school. Sometimes you do it because you're just trying to save that class from having to spend the entire day listening to your teacher argue with that person. You're like, oh my God, please not again. But either way, you're regulating each other's behavior, right? That's that sort of disciplinary power. There are other subtle ways that they tell you how to act, right? That we signal what's good and bad. Things like the examples teachers use in class, right? One of the big things that we talked about at standardized testing time, like when we started to change standardized tests, and one of the reasons they're so problematic is because for a long time, and still even now, their examples were like really white suburban rich kid examples. Buffy was headed to the mall to buy herself a diamond ring, and she was going at 5 miles an hour, and her friend was driving a Mustang at 70 miles an hour when they meet up in the class, right? No. right? So they had to change. There was a huge push to change all the examples. Because what it felt like, when other people were taking them, was A, who the hell knows who Buffy is, or why is someone driving a Mustang, right? If you're from the rural part of Oklahoma, not me, but people I know, you're like, a Mustang is a horse, not a car, right? See? You can make fun of rural people in Oklahoma, it's okay. Mostly because they're from there. But the idea is that they couldn't relate. The other idea is that it subtly implanted what was normal. Right? It subtly started to tell people Buffy and her diamond ring shopping as a high school student is normal. Let's hope not. That's weird. Okay? So the idea is that things like examples in class. How would you feel if every time your teacher gave an example about someone who was acting out of line, they used your name? Just by happenstance, like that's just the name they choose, right? They're just like, every time I talk about something terrible happened, it's Lindsay, right? That'd just be weird. And it may not bother you for like a day, but somewhere around month 6, you might start to get a little bit like, come on, why is everything bad me? Right? And that's what happens. We start to subtly tell people what they do and don't do that's good and bad. Jaleesa talked about language earlier today, right? We talk about English in class. We do things like make eye contact. We tell people all the time that those are behaviors that we like, right? We tell them that those are things we enjoy. We tell them that those are things that we reward. Teachers do it constantly. They reward students for looking back at them. They reward students who speak English well, right? They may not do it consciously even, but it is something that happens over and over and over again. Racial and sexual and other kinds of harassment suits are not always about someone being overtly mean. Sometimes they're just about a teacher consistently showing preference for one thing over another. In fact, a lot of the gender and STEM science literature is not about women being told to leave, although they were for a long time. It was about a bunch of teachers in science and math at really young grades who just didn't call on women when they raised their hand. And then women stopped raising their hand. Right? Same thing happens, by the way, to racial and ethnic minorities and to people who don't speak perfect English all over the time, right? All over kinds of classes. So the idea is that we control action and behavior by supporting some, i.e. by calling on some and not others. I.e. by saying, that was good, and supporting and being like good behavior towards people that we think of as good, right? And subtly ignoring or denigrating behavior or people or identities that we don't think of as mattering, right? Or that we don't think of as good. Okay? Does that kind of make sense? So, this happens in some other ways too. Really overt things, like we talked earlier, Jaleesa talked about Native Americans going to boarding schools, right? Or going to schools where they had to learn to speak English, or they had to give up their own cultures. They were punished for speaking their language. Those are really overt ways we control action and behavior. There are also really less overt ways, right? When you go to biology class and you learn that there are only 2 sexes, and that everybody falls into them, that your biological sex is a bird. Do you think that starts to have an effect on people who think of them, who are trans? People whose gender identity and sexual identity don't necessarily match? Yeah. Little pictures on the bathroom start to affect those things, right? And so the idea is that lots and lots and lots of things in a day start to discipline your identity in school. Right? They tell you either are boy or girl. They tell you that if you're not the right kind of learner, i.e. if you can't get something from me babbling at you, if you move too much, you want to move while I'm talking, you have other things going on, right? Those things are problems. So instead of those things being just things, they become problems, right? They become things we track. They become identities. And that becomes interesting, right? That becomes something that's not just about you, but about a group of you. You belong to a group because of that. And we start to literally tell people that's good or bad, depending on the kind of school you go to and how they handle those issues. Okay? Some schools are better than others. There are laws that are meant to protect them, right? So for trans people who want to abide by the gender identity they've chosen, right, or that they feel like they are, whether or not it matches their biological sex, Title IX applies to high schools and middle schools and elementary schools, just like it does colleges, which means you're supposed to have the right to use whatever bathroom you want, which means you're supposed to have the right to not be discriminated based on your gender. Now, do people abide by Title IX very well in some places? No. Probably because Texas, Oklahoma, Mississippi, right? Not so good at these things, traditionally speaking, right? So a lot of times this is why we see court cases. Almost all the court cases that Jay mentioned earlier today are all examples of times when students stood up to the Board of Education, right? Or the school system, or someone, a teacher, and said, this is my identity, and you're discriminating based on it, right? Which makes sense. So when they win, they can say, this identity should be protected. So there are lots of those kinds of things that have happened, but it's still not perfect. Most of you, I bet, and I'm not going to ask you to name them, but most of you think of an example, is my understanding, that of a time when you either had it happen to you, or had it happen to someone you know, where their identity was put down, right? And not like in a super clear, like, overt racist or overt sexist way, but in a, why did you have to make them feel that bad, right? Why was that the set of examples you used? Why did that have to happen that way, right? Tend to think of this as microaggressions or just bad examples, etc. But those kinds of things happen a lot, right? And those are what Foucault is talking about when he says disciplinary power. Those are the kinds of actions and behavior limiters that you see constantly. And, by the way, like you said earlier, that students model. Your teacher does it, students model it, you model it on each other, right? Maybe not you all, hopefully you're critically thinking and smarter than that, but sometimes, right? So it's a not fulfilling prophecy, but it keeps happening, right? It's a cycle. And it'll keep happening until people disrupt it, whatever it happens to be. Okay? One of the big ways this happens is called IEPs. What's an IEP? Yep.
Individualized education plan.
Individualized education plan. What is that?
It's a way for special education students to have an equal opportunity in schools.
Right. So ideally, and in its good format, it's a way of giving students who have a wide variety of what we think of as disabilities, right? I am incredibly ADHD. I never was on an IEP because God knows why. I don't think they existed quite the same way then. Or I never tested early enough. We also, by the way, do the opposite. We also find people who are gifted, right? I'm sure many of you have been in gifted programs throughout your lives. I was not. But many other people on staff have been. All of these are labels, right? They're things we do. IEPs are good when they're good, right? When we do them well, when they're attended to, when the student is involved in the kinds of measures and attendance they need. It's a good thing, right? Those are good forms of surveillance and tracking. They sometimes go poorly, right? You can imagine how this might happen. If teachers only decide what you need and they don't help you learn, right? If it only becomes a way that you get excluded from class. Those are bad. Good versions of them help you learn. But what about these labels, right? We have this idea that we can label people and we can put them in a group and then we know something about them. What do we know about gifted students? Gifted students are what? What else do you call them now? I don't know. Gifted, talented, the smart kids on the hall. What do we know about them?
They scored well on one test.
They scored well on a test of some variety, mostly when they were very small. Yep.
Often they're separated from the entire group.
Yeah, so they get sectioned off, right? I don't know what you all do when you go to the rooms where you go, right? Play with Rubik's cubes, learn how to build things in a record set format, learn how to computer program, take your exams, what do I know? So some labels are considered good. Are there problems with being labeled a gifted student?
Yes.
What's wrong with it? Separation from your peers, which means your socialization process is a little wonky, right? You're only around other people who are kind of like you. Maybe you should meet new people. Be around other things, right? Absolutely.
What is the idea that being smarter doesn't mean that you're better than them?
Yeah, so one of the things that can happen is that you can start to think we're better than the other people. For example, I used to teach at the University of Central Florida. There was an honors college which was incredibly smart. They called the rest of the population Gen Pop. I had this in a class once where I was like, are you kidding? That is probably not great. What's wrong with calling the rest of the population Gen Pop? What's that a reference to? Prison. Why is it probably not great to call people who are of average and often smart intelligences who just didn't happen to take the same test you took Gen Pop? It likens them to criminals, right? And it likens them to criminals that you think of as bad, right? So it's a way of denigrating their intelligence, right? It's a way of saying you weren't smart enough to be one of us, therefore you are a population unworthy of attention, right? Unworthy of rights or unworthy of anything else. Is it a huge deal? Maybe, maybe not. But it is a language marker that we use to sort of say we are different. So gifting can be a problem. Gift is also a problem for the people who are labeled gifted, right? It separates you, causes problems, yes.
You can put too much pressure on people.
Absolutely true. A lot of gifted students, or people who are put in those programs early on, burn out, right? Puts pressure on them. There's an increasing suicide rate among those programs, right? Not that that's a huge deal, but it is a big deal in terms of, like, not that the increase has been huge, I mean, but it is something that happens, right? Too much pressure in those directions. IEPs, gifted, those are ways we track your brain, right? We say, you are this kind of thinker. You are that kind of thinker. It changes the way we educate you. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes it helps you learn, right? Pushes you harder. Gets you better access to material. Sometimes an IEP will make sure that you have access to hands-on learning materials or the right tools to help battle things like dyslexia or ADHD. Those are good things. They can also go badly, and I think you can probably come up with a bunch of those examples too. Okay? What kinds of behaviors are supposed to be excluded from school? What are you not supposed to be doing in school?
Cheating, lying, stealing.
Say that again.
Cheating, lying, stealing.
Cheating, lying, stealing, right? Those are, by the way, also societal behaviors we dislike. So training you to be good citizens at school, training you to be what we think of as good citizens when you exit, right? No cheating, no lying, no stealing. Yep.
Don't harm others.
Don't harm others, right? So all these things are behaviors we encourage at school that we also encourage in the real world. You should be starting to get the idea that school is helpful for that training ground, okay? We include people, right, this is the idea, into groups like IEPs, into gifted groups, to have people that are excluded, that don't fit those models. What happens if you're a bad student or someone who thinks differently, but they can't find an IEP that makes sense for you? Probably.
That's a problematic kid that there's no hope for you at all.
Right. Then they just start to think there's no hope for you, right? They can't figure out what's wrong. You don't learn the way they want you to. You don't conform to any of the IEPs they can find. You don't fit into the gifted program, right? There's always people at school who sort of are at the margins of the margins, right? If you think of gifted and IEP as not the mainstream of your school, but as like important and functioning and good parts of it, the people who don't fit into those programs and still aren't succeeding, by their own terms or anyone else's, tend to be the people who get excluded, right? They tend to be the people that they get thought of as bad students. Anyone know someone like that who's not actually a bad student? Who, like, you know is smart, you know is kind? Yeah, obviously, right? A lot of those kids end up in debate teams, honestly. And that's good, right? That's where we have a home. But the idea is that school doesn't function very well if everybody's like that, right? So we keep creating more and more programs to bring people into what we think of as the norm, right? We normalize more and more behavior. That's not necessarily bad, but it does make it harder and harder on the like 5 kids who don't fit any of the models, right? Because there's no longer a group of them. They get smaller and smaller of number, right? And they feel more and more isolated. Right? So that's a disadvantage or a critical harm to a lot of these programs that are meant to include more and more of you into like normal mainstream classrooms. Okay? People who are on the outside feel it even worse. Does that make sense? Foucault has a big problem with these labels, right? The problem is not that the labels exist. The problem is that we use the labels, IEP, gifted, to cover huge swaths of behavior. Troubled student, right? Bad student, good student. Those are things, those are labels and ideas we have that cover lots and lots of behaviors. Foucault's like, look, it's okay to talk about things as good and bad, productive and unproductive, but talk about them in terms of the very specific things that are happening. You are not gifted. You have good test scores. You have good, excellent spatial reasoning, right? Your logic is above par. Your social skills, right? Those are the kinds of things Foucault would say to do instead. So instead of having a label, just talk about the behaviors, talk about the actions, talk about the things, the characteristics, okay? The idea being that those labels are what cause part of the problem. That if we talk about it in terms of its specificity, we stop a lot of this sort of inclusion and exclusion, right? It's less about programs and ideas and more about how people should and shouldn't act. All right, one more prison school question. Ready? After one has been in blank, it is the small things that one appreciates. Being able to take a walk where everyone wants, speaking or choosing to remain silent, etc. How many of you think it's prison? How many of you think it's school? School. Those of you who thought it was prison, it is actually also both, right? It's actually something that someone used for school, and Nelson Mandela described prison as. But let's be clear, those of you who think it's prison not school might be the people that are trusted at school, right? If you're allowed to wander around wherever you want, whenever you want, if you're allowed to talk and be quiet wherever you want, you're one of those kids who generally gets away with whatever you want to at school. Not every kid gets that lucky. Okay. The thing I'm going to wrap up with, and then I'll let you all ask questions, is that, remember, the big takeaway from this is a couple things. One, power and surveillance and all of those things do not only operate from the top down. All of the court cases you've heard, whether they succeeded or failed, are all examples of students fighting back, right? Or students being able to have power. You all surveil teachers. You change curriculum, right? There are lots and lots of examples of students being able to do things that are part of surveillance systems. You also surveil each other in horrible, wonderful ways all the time. Like I said, gossip. Not really a great way, but inevitable. The cafeteria, if you look around, is just like a system of surveillance, right? It is just a whole bunch of you. You've ever seen Mean Girls? How many of you have seen Mean Girls? Right? It's like the zoo, right? Go to African safari, she says, and everyone looks like the different kinds of animals, and she starts talking about the cliques and like how they all interact. All that surveillance, right? All that sort of disciplining you. You're this kind of person, which means you act this kind of way. If you've ever been tracked as a debater and been asked if you were going to get to be a lawyer, right? Are you going to be a lawyer when you grow up? It's like my least favorite question ever, all the time. Don't want to be a lawyer. My parents still ask me if I'm going to be a lawyer, and I'm like 34. And so, going to be a lawyer, like, it's a little late. I would have to pay a lot more money for that. But that's just like the disciplinary, that's someone trying to constrain how you behave, right? So all these things are power. All these things are ways that we watch each other act, and we reinforce the kinds of behavior we believe make sense without thinking, okay? These are the kinds of things you should be talking about when you talk about, does your app resolve these problems? Does your app do anything at all to fix the sort of social atmosphere of a school, right? Does it do anything to fix it so that it's less surveilled? Or so that it feels less constrained? Or does it fix some of those problems, but not all of them, and is that good enough? Right? These are case examples, K examples, app examples. Make sense to everybody? All right, one bonus question from a very brilliant person who used to be on teaching staff here, Amber Kelsey, who was the director of Eddie Towson, is now a coach at Wake Forest University. Anyone know, bonus points, why your bathroom stalls have like weird gaps at the bottom and the top and the sides? Like, why don't we just have like walls? What if you get stuck? Pretty sure you could shout in that case. Like, why do you, like, why? Why are bathroom stalls? Like, why do they are here?
The people that see art.
So people can, like, up windows. They don't all have windows. Yeah, right.
So, teachers can walk in and see that there's only one person in the bathroom, and if there's not, they can smoke or anything.
Yeah. So that they can see you. They want to make sure you're not in there with someone else. You cannot be having that much fun in a bathroom, let's be clear. It's about, honestly, this was one of the original surveillance mechanisms. They wanted to make sure what you're doing in the bathroom was using the bathroom. You can imagine what other things they were afraid you're doing on your own time. Amber is much better at talking through it than I am, so she would have given you a list of those things. But I'm sure your imagination can run rampant as you wander over to your research time. That's it. Otherwise, if you